Hey guys, good afternoon, everybody. Today is Monday, January 23rd. It is 2:03 right now. Our scheduled mentoring session is set for 2 o'clock. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick, and then we will get started shortly with regard to this mentoring session. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, we'll be covering basically today's live trades, and then also I'll review the updates to the momentum indicator with you guys as well. So go ahead and post this up right here real quick. Couple more updates right here. And I think we should be good to go. Not too much here to update. All right, solid. Let me get this link sent out to you guys here in the premium. All right, solid. So I'll get a few moments for people to make their way in. And then we will get started shortly. All right, so it looks like people are still joining. What I'll do right now is I'll just go ahead and update a couple of stuff right here. Hey, Christian, how's it going? So good afternoon, guys. Looks like people are still making their way in right now, so I'll get a few moments for people to join in. Meanwhile, I'll just sit tight and wait for people to join. So we don't really have any questions for today. The main things I guess we'll be covering, if we don't get any questions, are the trades from today, and then probably the updates to the momentum indicator. But I think that's about it. I don't really have anything on my list for today. All right, let me open this up real quick. Hey, Barty, how's it going? Barty said, best trader I've found yet, no doubt. Thanks, man, for showing me the way. Definitely, Barty. I'm glad to see that you're still with us here. You know, a lot of people come and go, but I'm glad to see that you're still consistent with our, our live session. So if you have any questions, Barty, anything that you want me to cover, feel free to put, your questions in the chat. Barty's asking about what happened to the stream earlier today. So unfortunately, the stream on YouTube got disconnected. I think YouTube was having issues. They were like updating their systems today. So the live session from today got cut off. Our live session was still continuing though on the Zoom. So on the Zoom, we were still live and we went through the entire session. We took a bunch of trades towards the end. But unfortunately on the YouTube, there was a connection issue. And it happens every so often. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen like once in a while. So unfortunately, only like about 15 minutes of the recording is available. Everything else kind of got corrupted, once the YouTube disconnected from it. So that's probably the main issue from that. But other than that, I think everything else is fine. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Otherwise, I'll be covering the trades from today. And then we'll also cover the updates to the momentum indicator. So I'll give it a few more moments for people to make their win. I don't know if a lot of people are attending today's mentoring session, which is completely fine. We'll just go on for as long as we have questions. So if you have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. Otherwise, we'll just get through majority of this from today. Yeah, but a lot of you guys are really liking the new update to the indicator, which is pretty cool. It was something that we've been working on for a while. My brother finally finished it, thankfully, and it works pretty well. As you guys can see from today's trades, it really helped us identify, these entries without mistake. So, see, you got everything on here set up. Yeah, no, definitely. Christian said we killed it today, definitely. Yeah, today was actually pretty good. So we had to wait for a while. I was kind of worried that we weren't going to get any trades, and then finally the trades start rolling in around mid to late session, which is perfect. So let me just pull up the trades for today. So we had like about 2 trades that came up. We had this one trade over here, which was a momentum scalp variation, came up right after this unvalid. So this wasn't a valid momentum scalp failure, but because the volume was too high. But the one after was valid, the momentum scalp variation that we took there. And then after that, there was also a momentum scalp that happened right after it. Basically that gold bar there. So we'll go over those trades shortly. I'll just give it a few more moments for people to make their way in. It looks like there's only 2 people in here on the Zoom, and it looks like there's a handful of people here on the YouTube. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and then I'll answer whatever you guys need help with. Let's see, Barty over here said, 1 lot for US 30 MFF is how much? So when I trade 100 lot on FTMO, which is the same thing as MFF, or what do you mean, Barty? So it doesn't matter what account size you have. What matters is what's your stop loss, right? Because or are you asking like how much is a 1 lot per pip? So if that's your question, how much is a 1 lot per pip? It is, I believe, 10 cents, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because if I'm using 100 lot, 1 pip is like about $10. Let me just do the math real quick. Yeah, because I'm doing 1 pip. So $10 times 1,000 or 100. Yeah, so if I'm using 100 lot, it is I'll just put on the screen here for you. So MFF, lot size worth. So a 1 lot equals US 30. 1 lot equals 10 cents per pip. 10 lot equals $1 per pip. 100 lot equals $10 per pip. So that's basically how much it's worth, Marty. So I mean, it doesn't matter what lot size, what account size you have, it's going to be worth the same thing. So this is basically what it equates to. Is that answer your question, Barty? So I mean, it depends on your stop loss. So like, I mean, depending on your account size, like you have a 10K account. So I mean, if you're doing a 10K account, we typically risk about 1.5% per trade. So you have a $10,000 account times 0.15, you should be risking about 150, right? So if it's 10 cents per pip, or I'll just put it into my thing. So basically, I'm putting it into my FTMO quick trade manager. So, I mean, that's the breakdown, but if you are trading US 30, I mean, your lot size is gonna vary depending on like, how much you're looking at risk. So like if your stop loss is 500 pips, then your lot size could be around 3 lots, I believe, right? Yeah, 3 lots. So if you do a 3 lot on a 500 pip stop loss move, your risk is going to be 150, which is going to be 1.5%. So yeah, this is how much it's worth. And then, depending on your stop loss, if it's 500 pips or 300 pips, it's going to vary, or 1,000 pips, it's going to vary. So, depending on your stop loss, it'll either be a 1 lot or you can increase it from there, depending on how big your stop loss is. Yeah, no problem, Barty. If there's any other questions, feel free to put it in the chat. My goal here today is to help you guys out with whatever you need help with. I don't really have any set questions. So what I'm going to do for today mainly is just going to be covering the trades from this morning. And then also I'll review the addition to the indicator that we've introduced. So if you guys have access to my indicators here, you guys will see that we typically have green and red momentum signals, right? That's going to identify momentum swings to the upside and momentum swings to the downside. One thing that I've included here is we kind of changed it up a bit. So now you have an option here in the settings where you can turn on scalp and you can set the time frame. So basically what this indicator does is when you have a momentum signal. So for example, here you have a buy signal, right? If you have a buy signal that's valid on the 1 minute, 5 minute, and 10 minute, then you're going to get a gold bar there. So instead of a colored signal, you're going to get a gold bar. It's easy to tell what this gold bar is supposed to be, because if you look back at the previous signal, you'll see it's a sell signal and it's followed by a gold, right? So typically when you don't have that gold bar there, it goes from red to green, red to green, red to green, right? So if you turn on the gold bars right there, which is going to be basically a momentum scalp on multiple time frames, you can assume that this here is it's supposed to be a green signal, right? Because you have a red signal. This is supposed to be green, but it's gold because it lines up with the multiple time frames. Same with these over here, red. This is technically supposed to be green, but it's gold, red, gold, red, gold, red, gold, etc. So that's basically what this new indicator. You don't have to use it. It's up to you guys if you want to use it. It's just a better addition to confirm multiple time frames. It's meant to be used on the shorter time frames, basically for our momentum scalp entry, and then the momentum scalp variation. But if you want to use it for other types of entries, you're more than welcome to use it however you like. But yeah, if you use it on the higher time frames, it does work. So I did play with it right here, like on GU. It does work here. However, it's going to be a little glitchy because when you're trading on the higher time frames, you're not going to be able to confirm that the momentum is actually there. Like for example, if this has a pending buy signal, but then it's also pending on the 4 hour and the 8 hour, then you're not going to get a clean entry there or a clean signal. It's going to be kind of iffy because if it doesn't close properly, it's not going to close with that gold signal there. So that's the reason why it's typically not supposed to be used on the higher time frames, but you can use it. You can see here that it still works, right? It's not like it doesn't work. It does work. Like you have this buy signal here, and this is a multiple time frame confirmation. I have these time frames set to the 4 hour and 8 hour because that's what I trade Forex on. So I have it on the 1 hour, 4 hour, and 8 hour. I get this gold bar here. It's basically a triple confluence of momentum, and it's going to indicate that price is likely to go higher. So if I was to get something like that, yeah, I would take the entry, full TP. And I do the same thing right here and get a gold bar, full TP right there as well. So, I'm always looking for ways to make you guys more money, make myself more money, etc. My mind never stops. Whenever I have an idea, I'll work towards it and I'll create better tools for you guys to use to, obviously lock in more profit. So yeah, that's basically what this new indicator does. If there's any questions regarding it, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Otherwise, we'll move on to the trades that came up today. Yeah, no, definitely, Barty. Barty said this update looks golden. Nuggets to the chart. Exactly. Yeah. And it works on pretty much anything. So if you wanted to trade it on like NASDAQ, you can see a bunch of gold bars here. These would be like basically automatic wins for buys. You could have taken any of these buys here or any of these gold signals, and they all would have hit full TP, right? You want to use it on the S&P, same thing, right? You get these gold bars over here. Everything for a bullish trend, basically a guaranteed hit for the most part. Even on gold, right? Gold bars on the gold chart. You can do the same thing here. So I don't necessarily recommend it on other. Well, I mean, it's up to you guys. If you guys want to test it, you can. I don't trade these other assets, so I can't really tell you how well it works. But I mean, if you guys wanted to test it out yourself, you guys are more than welcome. I only mainly use it for US 30, and then maybe sometimes for Forex if I'm looking for some entries here. But for the most part, I'm usually just using the US 30. Yeah, no, definitely, Brian. Yeah, Brian said wasn't on the live today. The gold bar is awesome, Sean. Yeah, it just helps with you guys identifying, very high probable momentum swings, because I know there's going to be a lot of buy and sell signals here. But in order for you to determine, what's really important, you turn on the gold bars here, and it really shows you where it's important, right? because you see these bars right here, and they're very smooth entries. Like you can literally take this one right here and then write that thing up for like 1,000 pips if you wanted to. And the thing with this too is that there's another confirmation here, as you guys can see. There's like a very, very strong confirmation here. I think this is the same trade we took on the live session right here at 7:47. So this right here was a buy signal. It was also multiple time frame confirmation with the gold bar. Plus it was in a bullish trend, right? Price was above the pivots, trend meter is green, pivots are green. And then also down here, you can see that volume was above average. So this is like a ton of confluences there. All of them line up. And of course that trade is likely to hit. So I don't see any other questions here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, let's cover these trades from today's live session. So the first trade came up over here at about like 7:46. So I think it was or 7:43 right here. All right. So for this entry right here, we applied the momentum scalp variation. That's going to be the first entry that we took today, right? The first official entry. So for this specific entry right here, I'm just going to rewind to this specific candle over here as well, which is going to be right there. And then let me go on the 10-minute and also mark that up right there. Okay, so looking over here, we'll go down the requirements just so that you guys can see what we checked off. So looking at the requirements over here, first, you want to confirm the overall trend on the 1 minute, 5 minute, and 10-minute time frames. So looking over here on the 1 minute, you can see that price is bullish. And the reason for that is because price is above the pivots. Pivots are angling up and the trend meter is also green. So with that said, this is going to confirm that we have a bullish trend on the 1 minute time frame. Looking over here on the 5 minute, you want to look for the same thing. You can see here that price is above the pivots. Pivots are angling up and the trend meter is green. That's going to confirm enough trend. And then lastly, over here on the 10-minute, you can see that price is also above the pivots. Pivots are angling up and the trend meter is green. So with that said, we have a bullish confirmation of trend here with regard to the overall trend. Going down to the next step, you want to confirm that momentum aligns on the 5 and 10-minute time frames, right? So looking over here on the 5-minute, you can see we have a bullish buy signal. So that's going to confirm a bullish momentum. Same with the 10-minute over here, we have a buy signal as well. So we have a confirmation of bullish trend and bullish momentum on the 5 and 10. So once we've confirmed that, we move on to step 3, confirm retracement momentum signal on the 1 minute. As you guys can see over here, we have a sell signal coming up, or that came up prior to this candle. This is going to confirm the retracement momentum signal. Going down to step 4, next you want to confirm price close past the pivots in retracement on the 1 minute. This red candle right here prior to the entry candle, price closed below the pivots. That's going to confirm step 4 because price closed past the pivots in retracement. Going over to step 5, you want to confirm price closed past the pivots in correction of overall trend. So basically what you're looking for here is you're looking for price to close below the pivots, and then you're looking for price to close back above the pivots, right? It's going to confirm retracement and confirmation of continuation. Once you confirm that right here, step 5, you can enter on the close of the candle. So with this right here, this is your entry. I think we took this for a 25-50 split. It's basically a 2-to-1. After that, you can let the trade run. And this was the entry that we took. We let the trade run here. Price ran up and then hit full TP right there. That's the first entry that we took. So that's one that we marked up right here. Full TP, momentum scalp variation, same strategy. And this is the one that I locked in profit off right here. So if you look over here, you can see off that specific trade, I locked in a total profit of 960 on this account, total profit of 3,800, 1,850 off this account, total profit of 4,600. My MFF over here, 1,550, total profit of 3,900. MFF number 2 locked in 1,600, total profit of 3,900 as well. My MFF number 3, 1,600, total profit of 3,900. And then my TFF, I locked in 1,200. So a little bit of a split profit there due to the slippage in the market. Market was moving very quickly. The reason why I got kicked out of this trade a little earlier was because I moved my stop loss in profit. So what happened was I moved my stop loss in profit, and then, you know, price pushed up right here. As soon as I moved it in profit, it pulled back, kicked me out, and then it shot straight to TP. So I was supposed to make 2,500 off that trade, but due to the slippage and the volatility, it kicked me out early. So I did make less profit, but total profit overall was great. That's the entry for that one right there. So that's going to be the momentum scalp variation. And the next one I'll cover is going to be right after it right here, this gold signal. That's going to be for the momentum scalp. So let's see, question over here. Marty's asking, can you explain what the pivot lines and why you use this in the strategy? So the pivot lines right here are my pivots indicator. What this indicator does is helps you identify the direction of trend. It also helps you identify pivot price points, right? So if price comes down and touches the pivot and bounces off, it's a pivot, right? So price will come up, retrace back, bounce off the pivot, and then push back up higher. So, I mean, there's different ways to apply the pivots. For me specifically, I mainly use the pivots to identify the trend. Whenever price is above the pivots, this is in an uptrend. When price is below the pivots, this is in a downtrend, right? It's pretty simple. There's other ways to use it though. You can use it for correction, for identifying the, rejection points. That's kind of what we used earlier today. So if you guys remember from earlier this session, we used the pivots here to identify a very strong confluence this morning. So if you guys remember from this morning, the pivots here actually gave us an extremely strong confluence. So if you guys remember this right here, we had price coming back here for a retest, right? And this rejection off the pivot gave us a big confluence to confirm the bounce that was going to happen, right? So I don't typically use this to identify rejections off the pivots, but you can see right here on the 30-minute, very strong bounce off the pivot, and then same on the 1 hour over here. So the thing with this here is that this aligns. So for example, what happened during the live session is we saw this rejecting off right here. So we saw this candle over here rejecting off. That's one of the confluences right there. And then we had another one right here. And then the same rejection lined up with the 10-minute over here. Right. So there's different ways of using it. This is how we identified the buys. Like we knew price was going to swing up because on open price dropped super heavily. And then I was like, okay, this is rejecting off the pivot on the 30-minute, 1 hour. And it's also rejecting off structure over here on the 10-minute. So I was like, okay, this is going to have to correct back up because we already had a bullish bias on open. So there's different ways to use this here. That's why I identified, and that's how I took my first two entries here. That's why I locked in these first two full TPs, locking about like 3,000 off these two trades here because I saw this. But yeah, there's different ways of applying Barty. The way I use it for the 1 minute here is to identify trend, but you can use it as confluence as well in the higher time frames, looking for rejection points. Jay's asking why M1 is the same as US 30. Yeah, it is. US 30 is just a copy of YM1. YM1 is the actual future. So this is the actual asset. US 30 is a copy of this asset. Question from Barty. Barty's asking, did you plug all your funded accounts when they cleared? What do you mean, Barty? So Barty's question is, did you plug all your funded accounts when they clear all the two phase? So I'm not sure what your question is, Barty. What do you mean by plugging them? I mean, they're all my copier. So it's, is that what you're referring to? If I add them to my copier? Because they've been on my copier right here. These are all my accounts. So I have my first account right here. The top one is going to be my FTMO account number 1. The second one's going to be my FTMO number 2. These three right here, you can see they're about the same profit. These are my MFFs, and then my last one's my TFF. So, yeah, not sure what you mean by plugged in, but I mean, they are all connected to my copier. I'm not sure what your question is, though. All right, so we went over the momentum scalp variation. I'm going to go over the momentum scalp now. So again, right here, this is the second trade that we took. First one we took up here was the momentum scalp variation. This one down here is the momentum scalp. So with this one right here, first you want to confirm the overall trend on the 1 minute, 5 minute, and 10 minute. Going back over here, you can see the 1 minute's bullish, price is above the pivots, trend meter is green, pivots are angling up. We have the same thing here on the 5, price above the pivots, pivots angling up, and the trend meter green. And then lastly, here on the 10 minute, we have the same thing, right? Price is above the pivots, pivots are angling up, and the trend meter is green. So once you confirm that, you go into the step 2. Step 2 says confirm momentum on the 10-minute and 5-minute time frame. So for step 2 and 3, you can see here that we have a buy signal on the 10, we have a buy signal here on the 5. With the new addition to the indicator right here with the gold bars, this is just going to confirm it for you, so you don't have to actually look at these time frames. You can see that whenever you have a green or you have a gold momentum there, whatever your settings are set to, I have it set to 5 and 10. So when it's gold like that, it means the momentum aligns with the 5 and 10. So we confirm the overall trend, confirm momentum on the 5, 10, and 1. And then we enter on the close of the 1-minute candle, which should be right here. So this is where the entry would be. Using a 25-50 split, you let the trade run. I think it went sideways for a bit because we got close to 8. So I didn't take this trade specifically myself, but I went straight to TP right there. So this was the second entry that we took. So we basically took 2 of those right there. So those are the 2 main entries that we took from today. There was no momentum scalp failure. This right here was above, the volume was above average. So this here was not actual momentum scalp failure. We had a momentum scalp variation right here, and then we had a momentum scalp right after, but we didn't have all 3 entries lined up. It was just 2 of them. So it was this one momentum scalp, and then the one above it or prior to it was the momentum scalp variation. But the one before it, the momentum scalp failure was invalid. So there's only 2 entries from today. Let's see. Barty said, yeah, because MFF says that we can't use copier without clearing evaluation. So I think that where would you see that, Barty? Because it doesn't really make sense, like what you're referring to. Because so Barty said, yeah, because MFF says that we can't use copier without clearing evaluation phase 1 and 2. Well, I mean, yeah, because you can use a copier whenever you want. I don't know. I don't think there's a restriction on it. So what is the restriction that you're referring to? Because it doesn't say that you can't use it like during your challenge. But yeah, I mean, you know, you're not going to be able to copy real accounts until you're actually funded. So I don't think they care about copiers. I mean, I haven't started a new account with MFF for a long time, so I'm not sure what the evaluation phase is like. I'm going to have to start a new account soon because I have a different email, but I haven't started one. But the last time I did it, they allowed a copier. So I don't know like what you're referring to. Is it that they're restricting copiers now? Because I didn't get any update from them. I mean, let me see if I can pull up my MFF, but I'm pretty sure they allow copiers. They only let you use copiers if it's your own account, though. So I think that's where your confusion may be. Copiers are okay with, yeah, Kip said MFF has no issue with copier. You can't copy from my account, though. So you can't add your account to my account and then copy it. That's what you're restricted from doing. But you can copy your own accounts. That's not a big deal because it's the same thing, right? They don't care if you like blow all your accounts at once or if you pass them all at once. It doesn't make a difference to them because either way it benefits them, right? Where it really becomes an issue and a risk is when like a lot of people are copying off one main account. So I don't think they have any issues with it. Here, I pulled up my MFF. Let me see if I can find something here. Yeah, so here are the FAQs from copier. So it says, can I use a trade copier EA? It says, learn more. Yes, you're allowed to use a trade copier as long as you're copying your own trades from your own accounts. So I don't see anything here where it's an issue. I'm not even sure where you saw that, Barty, the thing that you referred to. Because I don't think they care about your copy. As long as it's your own account, they just don't let you copy from other people's accounts. So like you can't add your account to my copier. If I'm copying to my own accounts, it's completely fine. But I don't think there's anything else here for that. But that's how it is with every place. Like you can't copy for pretty much, I mean, for FTMO for sure you can, because I've gotten caught doing that with multiple accounts. I tried to do that with like my mom's account, didn't work. I mean, it worked for like a couple months and then they found out and then they banned the other accounts. So the only restriction that they have is if like you're copying from other people's accounts. All right, guys. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat, but I don't really have anything to cover today, guys, because we don't really have too much to look at. I mean, the main thing I wanted to cover today would be the, obviously the new addition to the indicator, but it's pretty simple and straightforward. And you guys can see here that's very useful. So we already covered an example for momentum scalp variation. So I guess I'll do this. I'll just explain to you why this entry over here was not a momentum scalp failure, just to avoid any confusion. So, typically these entries come up right after each other. The reason why this right here wasn't a momentum scalp failure was because the volume was above average. So first requirement, confirm overall trend. This one was fine. Everything was bullish for today. Second requirement, confirm retracement momentum signal. We have that retracement momentum signal right there. Confirm number 3, volume is below average. This is where it didn't meet criteria because you can see from down here, volume was above average, right? So that's where this violated the requirements and there was no entry here for momentum scalp failure. So we couldn't have taken that for momentum scalp failure, but the one next to it right here was a momentum scalp variation. And then the one following the buy signal right there was a momentum scalp. So there are 2 entries that came up after, but the first one didn't come up before it. Let's see, question from Van Hartwig. Van Hartwig is asking, do you use a tool to enter trades in MetaTrader? I just use the FTMO Quick Trade Manager. That's the main one that I use. If you want to see how to use that tool, I've created a video on that. It's on the YouTube channel. So if you go to the YouTube channel right here, go to strategies right here. And then, or here, just go to videos. And it's going to say commonly used MetaTrader 4 tools. So if you want to look at this, Van Hartwig, this will show you the only tool I use for MetaTrader 4. I only use MetaTrader 4 to execute my trades. I don't use it for any actual trading or analysis. I just use it to enter and execute my trades. So there's not really much to use on MT4 for me personally. I just use a Quick Trade Manager so I can get in and out quickly without having to set my TP stop loss. Yeah, that's the only tool I use, but you have to have an FTMO account, Van Hartwig. So if you don't have an FTMO account, then you can't use that tool. It only works with FTMO accounts. If you can't use that tool, there's another tool that's very similar. It's called Depth of Market. It's the same thing. It's just less detailed because on my FTMO Quick Trade Manager, it shows you how much profit you're risking per trade. But on the DOM tool, the Depth of Market, it doesn't show you how much you're risking. You just have to put in the numbers and then understand, how much you're risking with those specific types of trades. Yeah, Kip said you can use the FTMO demo. So if you watch that video right there, it'll explain how to sign up for it, how to get access to it, how to install it, and then you can use it with an FTMO demo. Yeah, no problem. As long as you're on an FTMO account, you should be fine. And then also, if you need access to, so if you don't have the strategies, Van Hartwig, I can't remember if you have the strategies or if you just have the indicator or if you just have the live sessions. But so if you have the strategies or if you're on the free intro course, you just pull up the curriculum and it has a detailed explanation on how to install everything. So let me just pull up the preview here. Because this tool is like game changer. Like once I figured out how to use this tool, it's so easy to get in and out of trades. So if you go over here, you just go down to module number 2, I believe. Using MetaTrader 4 platform, click on that right there. And then I have a video right here, like pretty much how to install the Quick Trade Manager. So you click on that there, or you can even just go on the there's a video right here actually. If you go to videos, it says installing FTMO Quick Trade Manager on Mac. So same process on PC, but the Mac is just a little more complicated. That's why I had to create a video for that. Yeah, no problem, Ben Hartwig. Let's see, Kip said with the new gold signal, I'm going to miss someone calling out the 5-minute time frame momentum saving us all. Yeah, no, exactly, Kip, 100%. Yeah, if there's any other questions, guys, feel free to put your questions in the chat. I don't really have much to cover today. So if you guys want to cover anything, if there's any examples you want to see, if there's any trades you took and you're like wondering, what went wrong or what could have been done better, just feel free to drop your questions. If you have a timestamp for a trade that you want me to look at, I can look at anything. If there's any assets that you guys are trading and you want me to confirm the bias for you, I can do that as well. But yeah, this new gold addition to the indicator helps a lot. I'm looking for some Forex trades here, maybe. I don't really see anything yet, but possibly. It's odd USD trade right here that's currently running. No, it's too big of a move. Here, let's see. Ahmad's asking, what if we copy someone else's account to my live trading account and they then copy trade from that live account to all my fund accounts? Can this work? Well, let me see. So you're saying, what if someone copies? I mean, it still wouldn't work because Barty just randomly said it works. I highly doubt it would work. I don't see why that would work, because if you're copying it to like multiple accounts, you know, these funding companies, they have the data. It'll show your account, your trades will get flagged. If all the trades are entering at the same time and exiting at the same time, there's like more than 2 accounts doing that, it's not going to work because it's going to be flagged. So I don't think it works, Barty. I don't know where you got the, you jumped to the conclusion to say that it worked, because I highly doubt it works. You can try it if you want. I've tried it before. Like I've tried it. I had like about 4 accounts, you know, one for me and then one for my mom, and one for my family. And it didn't work, because it worked maybe for like a month or 2. And then they caught on because they saw that I was taking the same exact trades. So I don't think it'll work unless like the person you're copying from isn't using FTMO, then yeah, maybe it'll work. But at that point, it's like, why wouldn't they be using FTMO, right? Or, I mean, FTMO is like the main funding company that people use. So, I mean, yeah, if they're using it on a personal account, then possibly it'll work. But I mean, I'm telling you from experience, I've tried it before. It doesn't work. If you're copying between other, I don't know. So Barty over here is like laughing in the chat. Like he said it worked. And then I just explained how it doesn't work. And now he's like laughing about it. Yeah, I think Barty's just messing around. But for me personally, I don't think it works. You could try it if you want. If your accounts all get flagged and they ban all your accounts, then I mean, that's going to be the cost of testing it out, right? Because it's happened to me before where like 4 of my accounts got banned because they were copying from my main account, which is my own account. Luckily, FTMO let me keep my main account, thankfully. And then they were just like, okay, we're just going to basically disqualify your other accounts, and then you just stick to those 2 accounts that you already have. So, I mean, it's up to you. If you want to try it, you can try it. Barty, you should try it for us. You should try copying it from a mod's account. You guys could work together and see if it works. And then if it doesn't, you guys can just report back to us. But definitely, I don't think it's worth the risk, mod, because I've done it before. And I don't think I ever got flagged. Well, no, actually, I did get flagged. I got flagged on MFF too one time because I created a different account. I tried all those things before in the past. Like I tried to make like a bunch of accounts and then just copy all of them, but they flag it eventually. Because like at this point, I'm pretty sure that FTMO has a pretty good risk team because they've been around for so long. I think they've been around from like the early 2000s or like at least 2011. So they've had time to really figure out how to catch people who are doing that. I think for smaller companies, maybe like TFF or like a couple other ones, you can probably get away with it because they probably don't have the systems in place. But I think MFF possibly might be onto it. I know they all use different tools because or different companies to identify it. So yeah, Marty said nah. Yeah, Marty's not down to try it out. But yeah, Ahmad, you know, quick answer to your question is if you're copying from like a personal account, then I think it should be fine. But if you guys are all on FTMO or if you guys are all on MFF, the servers are going to flag your trades because they're entering at the same time. Let's see, Natasha's asking, does the candle inside the gold bar need to match the direction of the trend? So not exactly, Natasha. So let me see, you're asking for momentum scalp, right? Let me put the requirements up here. Yeah, so for the momentum scalp, you don't necessarily need what we would call a valid momentum signal, right? So for example, right here, we have a buy signal, or this would be a green signal. Let me just turn off the momentum. So you can see right here that these are green signals, right, Natasha? there's no requirement for it to be green. Like, so for example, right here, see how we have a red candle, but it's a green signal. It's not required to be valid. So you can have something like that and you can still technically take it. For me personally, I probably wouldn't take it because it just shows uncertainty in the price, right? If price is low. So like for me personally, I probably would have skipped this one, but you don't necessarily need it because it's not one of the requirements. If it's required, then I would have it put here. It'd say like valid momentum signal, but since it just says 1 minute momentum signal or a candle, you can use it whether it's valid or invalid. So I know there's a couple strategies in the past where it was required, but for these specific entries, it's not required. So you should be fine. All right, guys, if there's any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I don't have any other questions here, but I'm willing to stay on here for as long as you guys need me. If you guys have, more questions. Volatility is starting to die down a little bit. Let me see if there's any news for this week to look out for. I'm pretty sure there is. So tomorrow, Tuesday, we have Flash Services PMI, Flash Manufacturing PMI, both inflation news right here, Richmond Manufacturing Index. So we have a lot of economic news tomorrow morning, like right after market open and then right into mid-market, or not mid-market, but mid-live session. So we'll see how that pushes price around. That might, cause us to be a little more careful tomorrow. On Wednesday, we have some news as well. We have news over here at 7:30, crude oil inventories. Thursday, we have a lot of news. We have advanced GDP price index, core durable good orders, unemployment claims, good trade balance, prelim wholesale inventories, new home sales. I'm expecting this to be negative, new home sales to be negative, probably GDP negative as well, or I don't know, we'll see. So let's see, last week or last month, it was, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's a toss-up, really. I don't think whether it's positive or negative is really going to affect our decision making at all, because we're not going to trade news anyways. We're going to wait to see how price reacts to it. But yeah, I mean, I don't really like to predict news and I don't like to predict price. I kind of just take trades as they come. So if the requirements are met, I take the trades, but the news events aren't necessarily going to dictate, what direction I plan on trading in. So it's not going to make a big difference. We're just going to wait for the news to pass, see how market reacts to it, and then we'll take trades from there. See, Barty's asking, why don't you trade gold? Simple, because I don't. So gold, yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys have traded gold before. And Barty, I can ask you the same question, right? Why don't you trade gold, or why don't you trade gold successfully, right? It's the same answer between everybody, because gold is so erratic. It's very hard to predict. It's not smooth like US 30 here, where you can, where you can really identify the trend. The thing with gold here is that it'll move so randomly, right? And it's the same situation with a lot of people. A lot of people are not good with gold. So that's the main reason why I don't trade gold. So everyone has the same, people have different experiences with different assets. For me personally, I mainly trade US 30 because I've been trading US 30 live for like over 5 years now. So I trade this every morning, same time, and I know exactly how it moves during that time. It's the same with like gold, right? Some people trade gold only and they know exactly how gold moves. For me personally, I don't know how gold moves specifically because I feel like it's so erratic. It's kind of all over the place. So I personally don't like to trade it. The strategy still worked fine on gold too, but I personally don't like using it because the movement here is so volatile. Sometimes it'll be very slow, and then all of a sudden, it'll just start picking up so quickly. So I guess main reason for gold why I don't trade it is because it's just so unpredictable. Like you can see here, these retracements are super strong, right? So price will come down, it'll come up super heavy, and then it'll come back down super hard. So you'll get a lot of these big swings for gold here. So like it's really easy to get caught in a lot of these fake outs, because you can see right here, I'm just looking at it from a bird's eye view, right? Price pushes up here, heavy retracement, bunch of fake outs right here. This is pre-market, and then it swings back up. So for me personally, I just don't like the way gold moves. I think gold's too spiky. You'll see a lot of like big wicks here too. So if you look at these candles here, there's a lot of candles here that just have like huge wicks. And the problem with that is if you're scalping gold, it's really easy to get caught in these spikes, and then you end up getting stopped out before it reaches your position. So Yeah, for me, I personally don't like gold very much. And I feel like it's a love-hate relationship with everyone else as well. I don't know anyone that really likes to trade gold. I know people who like act like they like to trade gold, but realistically, I don't know anybody that's like really big on gold, because you could win big on gold, but you could also lose big on gold too. And most of the time it's people losing big on gold rather than winning. Let's see. Barty says US 30 is 10 times better than gold. Yeah, I mean, it just depends, it depends on the person. Like Kip over here said, I'll make 10 stacks on gold and I'll lose 15. And I agree with you too, Kip. Same here. The thing with gold is like, I feel like it's a very emotional asset, right? A lot of people they'll get really big highs on it, and then they'll get into big lows and they won't be able to pull out of their trades because, the way that gold's moving now is different than it was before. So if you look at gold like prior, let me go over here to like I'll just stay on this time frame. So if you look at gold on the daily, when you were trading gold, like if you traded gold during COVID, it was easy. You could just buy gold. It's like you don't even have to think, right? So look right here from like 2020 until like the end of COVID, right? So like this is the beginning of COVID around this area right here, January of 2020. And then say, for example, you're trading this until like the end of the year, right? 2021. You see how easy it was to trade gold? I feel like a lot of people had a temporary stint with gold. Like they traded gold and then they thought that they knew what they were doing because it was so easy to trade during COVID. Like during COVID, we were going to like panic mode, right? So like people would just sell their dollars and then they'd hold on to gold. So like during that time, a lot of people here made a lot of money trading gold, but a lot of that time it was like just luck, right? People are just buying and holding and then waiting for it to go up. You can see over here that after COVID, kind of when we start to reopen in 2021 to 2022, it was no longer directional, right? It was directional right here for 2020. This is where a lot of people started trading gold. And then you can see from 2021 up until 2022, that bullish push kind of like fell off, right? And then right here, 2022 till like 2023, it's same thing, right? This is, and a lot of things that it has to do with a lot of politics as well. So like during COVID, it was easy because everyone thought the world was going to just go to shit, right? And everyone was just buying gold. Now we have, Trump was also president. So like Trump would say so many things to just, pump price up. And then you go to here and then gold is no longer directional. It's just back and forth. 2021 and then 2022, you can see gold kind of drops a bit. And now it's picking back up because we're going into a recession. So I don't know, gold might be something to play around with. Like once we fully get into this recession, because the thing with gold is that it's a safe haven asset. So like whenever the dollar's not doing good, gold is typically supposed to raise in value. So it's like something that people transfer to, right? Like if they don't know what's going on with the economy, they transfer their US dollars into either gold or yen. So that's why you'll see USD JPY and gold kind of move very similar because they're both opposites of the US dollar. Yeah, Christian said Sean doesn't trade gold because he doesn't want to end up in a mental institution. Yeah, no, gold will make you crazy. It really will eventually. So let's see, Kip said over here as well, he said why we at Kodi Trades don't trade gold. A simple answer: the goal of Kodi traders is to consistently make profit. We have daily goal, we meet the goal daily, proven strategies on US 30. If we're meeting our goals, we aren't looking at the avenues of profit, rather perfecting US 30 trades. Like today, introducing the gold momentum signal. We're good at what we do and we'll let others be good at what they do. Yeah, and I agree with Kip 100%. So like basically what Kip is saying is that, we don't really specialize in gold. I don't personally specialize in gold. I specialize in US 30 because that's what I've been trading live for, over 5 years now with you guys here. So like basically the gist of what Kip is saying is, we're going to stick to what we're good at and we'll let people stick to what they're good at. So gold is not something I'm good at, so I'm not going to force it on myself. I'm really good at US 30, and then I'm kind of good, I guess, with Forex sometimes if like I want to be, but for the most part, it's just US 30 mainly. So what I mainly recommend to you guys is to like maybe find one or two assets and then just master that. Because the thing is, if you're going from asset to asset, you're gonna run into a lot of road bumps because you're gonna mix up your analysis with like US 30. Like the thing with indices here is that they move very similar. So you can probably trade these side by side. But like, for example, you wouldn't trade US 30 and S&P, right? Because they move pretty much the same. You might as well just stick to US 30. It's more volatile. You can probably trade US 30 and NASDAQ because these move different from each other. These are tech stocks, and these are just normal generalized stocks. Top 30 stocks in the US, top 100 tech stocks here. So if you were to trade different indices, I'd probably do US 30 and NASDAQ. But my main focus is US 30, of course. Barty's asking, is there any assets that correlate with US 30? There's nothing that correlates specifically, but one of the common ones is Euro USD. So if you were to put Euro USD right next to, here, I'll just show you real quick. So let's just go over here to, and go and just put these to 2. Let me just change these. So if we go to, so YM right here, and then Euro USD. And then we'll just put this like on a higher time frame, like the hourly, right? So they're not going to be very similar, but I mean, they're not even similar right now at all, but this is probably the closest one to it. It's probably gonna be Euro USD. You can kind of see at the end right here. So at the end, you can see how this is dropping. It's basically moving kind of similar to how it is. It's not always moving the same though, but there's no directly correlated asset. I mean, if you want to look for something specific, it's going to be S&P. S&P is going to be the other asset that correlates with US 30 because it's basically the same thing. It's just S&P has more stocks in there in the index. So for your USD, if you're comparing it to a US asset, this is probably going to be the closest thing to it. But S&P is going to be the other one. So ES, you can see here that this is pretty much the same exact thing, right? US 30, S&P, they're the same exact thing. This just has 500 stocks in the index, and this has 30 stocks in the index. So US 30 has 30 stocks, S&P 500 has 500. It's basically this one moves a lot more volatile than this one. So I feel like if you're not ready for US 30, S&P would be a good alternative because it's not as volatile. But if you're good at US 30, you might as well stick with US 30. It just doesn't make sense to go to S&P unless you can't afford to trade US 30, of course, because this is a more expensive asset. Let's see, question from Abdullah. Abdullah's asking, hey, traders, is funded account from MFF, is it safe or good for beginners? I don't recommend any funding company aside from FTMO. So if you want to use MFF, I do use MFF, but FTMO is still the main one. So like, I won't ever like recommend that you use anything other than FTMO until you've basically maxed out your allocation. So if you look at my accounts right here, this is my FTMO, right? I made 3,850. Here's my FTMO number 2, made 4,640. Right here's my MFF. You can see that the profits are a little off, right? So like, for example, right here, I made 1,100. And then for my MFF, I made 770. So I think the execution times are okay, but they're not as good. So like, if you're going to be, comparing the two, FTMO is always going to be number 1. Like if people, that's always like a common question for people that ask me, if MFF, if they should do FTMO, MFF, or TFF. The main reason why people want to do MFF is because it's cheaper and it's supposed to be easier, right? I think you have to go for an 8% gain. That's 2%, right? What's a 2% difference? Like if you could really pass and be consistent with the FTMO, you should have no problem with your MFF. But I think for sure you should stick with FTMO first until you've like maxed out your allocation, which is 400K. And that's basically where I'm at right now. That's the only reason I went to MFF because I have a 200K right here for FTMO, 200K for FTMO, and I got 3 200Ks here for MFF. And then I did TFF, which is not recommended. I don't recommend anybody do TFF. They don't really, they're not friendly with scalpers. So if you're going to scalp with me, TFF is probably the worst option out of the 3. Yeah, Natasha said FTMO for life. Yeah, I agree, 100%. See, Barty said, bro, thanks for all the gems that you give, and I'll be on the site forever. Yeah, definitely, Barty. And we'll have you here for as long as you want to stay around. But yeah, guys, if there's any other questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Unfortunately, I'm getting like a sore throat, so hopefully I'm not getting, well, I know I'm getting sick for sure, but hopefully it doesn't get worse, because it's hard for me to speak during these live sessions when I have a cough or a sniffle. But all right, guys, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Otherwise, I think we'll be wrapping this up pretty soon, because I don't really have much else to cover today. Yeah, Rashida said she noticed when she has TFF as her main account, it gives her full profit. Yeah, no, I've tried it before, Rashida. It just has, there's something wrong with the execution times. Today was fine. Was that just today, Rashida? Because I'm looking over here from today. It was actually not too bad today. The first trade was bad. It gave me 400 when the other accounts gave me like 1,000, 900, etc. But the other trades here were fine. So, I don't think it's the copier or with it being the main account. I think it's just how their platform executes the trades. Because you can see here for my second trades, they were fine. Made 1,000, made 1,200, but this first one wasn't on point. These were kind of on point. They gave me what I was supposed to get because I went for 100 pips. But yeah, you guys have seen from my profits. Like if you look at my profits from the previous week, like these were like way off, right? So like, for example, here I made 1,000 on this account, made 500 on my TFF. So it's been a consistent issue. You guys have seen here from last week as well. I made 860 on this one, my FTMO, 860 my FTMO number 2, 760 on my MFF, and then TFF gave me negative 300. So I think it's their platform. They purposely execute trades late because they don't like scalpers. Because what happens with the scalping is that they get caught in slippage. So if they copy your trades, they get screwed, right? Because you'll get out at proper timing, but their copiers aren't fast enough to get out at the same time. So I think they purposely give it like a second or 2 second delay so that their copier can also execute at the same time, which makes sense. Makes sense. They want to be under real market conditions. And that's kind of the downside of using copiers, especially for these funding companies. So I don't blame them for it, but I think it's kind of grimy, like what they're doing, right? Because it's like, they should have better service if that's the case. So that's another thing too. The thing with FTMO and with TFF, I don't know what servers TFF is using, but I know FTMO has their own servers. So that's why you see a lot of these other funding companies where they don't allow scalpers, because they, yeah, no, that's just what I refer. I just mentioned that right now, CT. I put it as my master. It still has the same problem. It's not the copier, it's their copier. So they purposely execute late because so that their copier can copy the trades properly on time, because they have their slippage settings set to a specific setting. Yeah, because it's not our copier, it's their copier. So like in order for them to copy the trades properly, they need to have like some like leeway time in between. So that, say for example, I execute a trade, right? Their copier is going to have slippage, so they're not going to be able to copy it. That's why when I tell you guys to set your copier settings to 5,000, that's what I have for pretty much all my copier accounts, right? So if you guys go to your settings for your copier account, I have my slippage settings to 5,000 so that it always copies the trades, no matter what. It always just copies it. The thing with a lot of these other funding companies is that they don't want to put their slippage that far out, because what could happen is if they get in too late or they get in too early, they can either end up in a really big hole or they can end up in like more profit than they anticipated. So that's why like there's always slippage. That's why you'll see sometimes on my accounts here, like clear examples like from this here, right? So looking at this here, I made 960 on my FTMO number 1. This is my main account. And you see the slippage here on my FTMO number 2. I made 1,850. So I basically made double profit on this account right here because my slippage settings were set to the max. So basically my slippage settings are like, okay, enter the trade at any price point. Doesn't matter if it's super late or super early, enter the trade. And that's how I get my slippage right there. But obviously if I was a funding company, I wouldn't let my traders do that, because this could have easily been negative 1,000, right? If it ended up being like way below. So see if there's anything else here. Nice work, Sam. So Sam just posted some profits right here. It's trading gold today. Block in 220 for the day. Nice work, Sam. See if there's anything else here. Yeah, no problem, Van Harvey. We'll see you here tomorrow. Malcolm's asking me, did you cut the chat earlier today? No. So what happened was YouTube was having issues. They basically disconnected from my Zoom. So the YouTube was disconnected earlier, but the Zoom went on for the rest of the period. Because we're mainly on Zoom, it just copies over to the YouTube. But I think YouTube had issues today and they disconnected the, well, it just automatically disconnected on accident, I guess, the live stream. But we were still streaming till 8 o'clock. So you guys can see here that I think the stream on YouTube only went on for like 15 minutes, but you guys can see that the trades we took here were like way later at like 8:58 or 7:58 actually. So unfortunately the YouTube got cut off, but if you guys are on the Zoom, you guys will have, you know, real-time connection. So you guys will not get disconnected if that's the case. But yeah, it happens sometimes. Every so often YouTube has issues, usually when they're updating their systems and it disconnects the live stream. But it doesn't happen too often, so that's a good thing. All right, guys, I think that might be it for today. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat right now. Otherwise, we'll be wrapping this up. We've been on this live session or this group mentoring session for about an hour. I'm willing to stay on here longer if you guys have any questions, but it doesn't look like we have anything else for today. So if you guys don't have anything else, we'll just wrap this up and then we'll be back here tomorrow, same time, same place, for tomorrow's live trading session. So I think that's it. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me. You can email me, Sean@KodiKaiTrades.com. Otherwise, you guys can always message me on Telegram @KodiKaiTrades. That's probably the fastest way to reach me if there's any questions that you guys have. So if there's anything you guys want me to analyze or you guys need help confirming anything, just feel free to drop any questions. Otherwise, I think this is it for the mentoring session. So, all right, guys, if you guys have any questions, feel free